So my top 5 reasons why people fail in property investment and how you can avoid making the same mistakes. Now, I've been training people since 2016 with the Goliath Sourcing Academy, and over the past 5.5 years now, we've taught well over 2,000 students, and there is a common theme throughout all of the students who have had success and those who maybe haven't quite had the success that they hoped they'd have. Now, more often than not, it is down to a number of things, and what I want to do in this video is cover 5 of the biggest reasons why people don't succeed in property, and actually the ones that do exactly the opposite of what we are about to discuss. Now, number 1 in the list is unrealistic expectation. Too many people get involved with property investing and expect results to happen overnight. They expect the riches, the property wealth to just land on their plate and not really have to put in the effort, not really have to do too much other than go and maybe view a few properties with agents, get offers accepted as easily as making them, and then they simply walk off with this great portfolio that cash flows massively, that has no troubled tenants, that has no issues with transactions, and of course every single offer that they make gets accepted. And it's just totally unrealistic. And if you're going to be unrealistic when it comes to property investing, then what's actually going to happen is everything else that is in my top 5 list that we're going to discuss today is going to be so easy for you to fall into the trap of following these challenges. So don't be unrealistic with your expectation. Make sure you understand that property investing is incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly exciting, and I love everything that there is to do about property. But it's hard, it has its challenges, it's not always plain sailing, and actually what makes the most successful property investors are those that have managed that expectation, that understand there is work, hard work involved, but the rewards for that work are certainly there to be seen in the long run. Now, another big mistake, number 2 on the list, is a lack of direction, a lack of focus, and that comes from a lack of planning. So what happens is you get excited about property investing, usually because someone has told you about how lucrative and how exciting the world of property can be, and then you go into it full guns blazing at a massive race speed without really having a real clear idea as to what it is you want to achieve, what it is that you want your property life to look like, and really you don't start with that end in mind. What is it that you're doing? Are you building it for legacy? Are you building it for a retirement pot? Are you building it for short-term cash flow? Are you doing it for a mixture of everything in between? The fact of the matter is that you will all have very different plans around what you want property to do for you. Some people want property as a little bit of a side income. Some people want to build a property portfolio that becomes their full income. Some people just love doing projects for larger sums of money on flipping them, and that's great as well. But if you don't start with the clarity of what it is that you want your property journey to look like, well, it's going to be very difficult for us to make a plan to get you there. And if there's no plan to get you there, of course, it's going to be very easy to get lost. And when we talk about getting lost in property investing, it's the shiny penny syndrome, the jumping around, the flitting about, which we'll come on to in step 5. Now, number 3 on the list is the lack of consistency. No consistency. Now, what I'm not talking about here is consistency in terms of your strategy and your area, because as many of my followers will know, I hugely push and drive forward this focus on one area, one strategy to start your journey with, which is all going to come from that planning, from that ideas to what you want to build, and then that focus is going to allow you to get results. So even when you've got that focus and you've got that area in mind, the strategy you're going to use, the tactics that you're going to adopt, this lack of consistency is going to be the thing that gives you a lack of confidence because you feel like you're not getting results, and that means that you're going to potentially again risk number 5, shiny penny syndrome, which I've already mentioned we're going to come on to shortly. Now, lack of consistency can apply to the efforts that you put in, the lead generation activity that you do. What people expect is that they send out a load of direct mail letters, for example, or they do a leaflet campaign, or they run some Facebook ads, online advertising, Google ads, and they don't get results from that first effort that they put out. And what that means is that, again, they lose focus, they lose confidence, they get torn away by another Facebook ad promoting a new strategy, a new exciting money-making scheme, and they go off and lose all of that momentum. And the reality is that if you stay consistent with your marketing, the vast majority of people in the property world who do lead generation activity don't stay consistent. So just by staying consistent in the approach that you do is going to set you above the rest. And of course, that's going to get you more results, which of course is going to give you that property portfolio that we're building based on the vision that you've already had. Now, point number 4 is going to be an interesting one coming from someone who runs an education company, but over education with lack of action is a huge mistake that property investors make on their journeys. And this hinders progress because no matter what, I could be the best property trainer in the world, but the amount of content that I can deliver to you will not cover every eventuality in the property world. The fact that we are dealing with properties that vary from street to street, town to town, city to city, country to country means that we're not going to be able to teach you every eventuality that could happen, including issues that could arise from surveys, issues that can arise from just viewing the properties. We just can't teach you that. Action, going out and viewing properties, going through the process, through the motions, going out there and actually doing what it is that you're learning about is going to be a far better education with the right guidance, with the right foundations, than it is just simply going and doing more training, more education, more boot camp days, all of that stuff. It's not going to help you get perfect. All this education usually stems from a lack of confidence. It means that you feel like the more education you get, the more confident you will be. The reality is, I've seen it, it is not that at all. If you get the basics of the education, you get a core foundation of what it is you want to do, how you want to do it, have those goals in mind, and then go out and take that action. That's what's going to be the best education, the best confidence builder, and the best way to start building that portfolio. And of course, number 5, I've mentioned it a couple of times already, it is shiny penny syndrome. And shiny penny syndrome really comes from all of the previous 4 mistakes that I've said so far. Because of course, if you have got a lack of focus, a lack of plan, a lack of direction in terms of your property journey, you're going to get distracted by a new shiny penny. If you've got lack of consistency, lack of results from marketing, and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, you feel like you're stuck still, then you're going to be lured into shiny penny. And unfortunately, the world that we're in now, we are bombarded in our news feeds, on our internet with retargeting ads. That means that you're going to be constantly delivered stuff to distract you from property, and it's not even necessarily going to be property stuff. Now, if you do not have that clarity, you do not have that focus, you do not have that direction, and you do not have that consistency, then you are going to be at risk of being lured away into something completely different. Now, what I really dislike when it comes to that, of course, all 5 of these things lose any sort of momentum that you have gained so far. I see too many people who start off, they do the education, they get the focus, they get the area, the strategy, they start doing lead generation activity, they start going and doing viewings, but of course what happens is they don't get instant results, the expectation has not been managed. And what that means is that they then decide that they're going to stop and start something new. And the way that I kind of liken this, one thing that I really enjoy watching are strongman competitions. You know, the ones where they've got the big Atlas balls and they've got they're carrying cables and all that sort of stuff. Well, one of the challenges that they have is that they pull a vehicle. Now, it might be a truck, might be a van, it might be a mini, might be a car, whatever it is. The fact is that when you watch them, you will see that the amount of energy that it takes to get that thing moving is a lot. They're tired, they're pulling it, you can see the strain in getting that vehicle to gain some sort of momentum. Now, that's just like your property journey. That first bit is going to be hard. That first deal is going to be the hardest bit to get over the line. That first marketing campaign going out, the consistency, all of that is that real driving push from that strong man to get that vehicle moving. But guess what? When that vehicle starts to move, the momentum of that vehicle makes it a lot easier for that strong person to pull that vehicle along. You can see them start to build momentum. They start to get faster and faster and faster. But guess what? When it gets to that point of where it gets really heavy again and they start to slow down, well, that means it's going to get the same amount of energy it's going to take to keep pulling that along. And if they stop, well, guess what? Everything goes back to stage one. They've got to get that thing moving again. They're going to have to gain the momentum, and then when they start gaining momentum, if they stop, and that's what shiny penny syndrome does. It makes you stop any sort of momentum that you had gained, and then you're going off and starting that new vehicle, that new strategy, that new tactic to get moving again. And it's just something that is going to stop you progressing, stop you having success. And it's one of the biggest mistakes when it comes to the 5 is that shiny penny. Find a focus, have a plan, stick to the plan, gain momentum, keep the confidence up, and keep consistency. And that's going to make you a successful property investor in the long run, because it is not get rich quick. No matter what adverts, no matter what you are lured into thinking, strategies, no money down, traditional borrowing money from investors, it doesn't matter one bit. It's going to take time, it's going to take consistency, and it's going to take a plan. And if you've got that, you're going to succeed.